You read the message once, then again, then one more time, just to be sure. What did they mean by that? Was that too short? Should I reply now or wait? And suddenly, something that took them 5 seconds to send takes you 5 minutes or more to process. And before you know it, you're deep in it, rewriting your reply, deleting it, typing it again, trying to get it just right. Because texting isn't just communication anymore. It feels like interpretation. And that's where overthinking starts. Because when you're not face to face, something important is missing. Context. You can't hear tone. You can't see expression. You can't feel the energy behind the words. So your brain fills in the gaps. And it doesn't always do that in a neutral way. If you're already a bit unsure or a bit anxious, your brain tends to fill those gaps with doubt. A short reply feels like disinterest. A delayed response feels intentional. A full stop at the end of a sentence suddenly feels serious, even if none of that was intended. And that's the first thing that drives overthinking. You're not reacting to what's actually there, you're reacting to what your mind adds to it. Another reason is that texting gives you time, too much time. In a real conversation, things move. You respond naturally. You don't have time to analyze every word. But with texting, there's space. Space to think, to edit, to second guess. And that space can be useful, but it can also turn into a loop. Because the more time you spend thinking about what to say, the more your brain starts looking for problems. Is this too much? Is this too little? Does this sound weird? And suddenly a simple reply becomes something you feel you have to get perfect. There's also the pressure of how you're perceived, because a message isn't just about what you say. It feels like it represents you, your personality, your confidence, your interest. So you start trying to control how you come across. You adjust your tone, you add or remove words. You think about punctuation more than you ever thought you would. All to shape how the other person sees you. And that pressure creates tension, because you're no longer just replying, you're performing. There's also uncertainty. When you send a message, you don't know how it will be received. You don't know when they'll reply. You don't know what they'll say. And your brain doesn't like that. It wants clarity. It wants certainty. So it tries to predict. It runs through scenarios, best case, worst case, everything in between. But most of those scenarios never happen. They just exist in your head. And the more you think about them, the more real they feel. Another part of this is emotional investment. The more you care about the person, the more you tend to overthink. Because now, it matters more. You care how they see you. You care what they think. You care about the outcome. So every message feels more significant, more loaded, and that increases the pressure to get it right. But here's the thing. Most people aren't analysing your messages the way you are. They're replying quickly, moving on with their day, not thinking twice about it, while you're still there, rereading the same sentence, trying to decode something that was never that deep to begin with. And that's the reality of overthinking text messages. It's not really about the messages. It's about what's happening in your mind around them. The assumptions, the interpretations, the need for certainty. So what changes this? It's not about forcing yourself to stop thinking. It's about recognizing when you've moved beyond what's actually there. When you've gone from reading the message to creating a story about it. Because once you see that clearly, something shifts. You realize you don't need to analyze every word. You don't need to predict every outcome. You can just respond. Simply, naturally, without trying to control everything. Because texting was never meant to carry that much weight. It's just a conversation. And the more you treat it that way, the less space overthinking has to take over.